Seniors, one morning habit to slash stroke risk by 50%. It may sound almost too simple to believe, but this is the truth. Just one small action each morning can help reduce the risk of stroke in older adults by up to 50%. If you are over 60 and have ever felt foggy-headed or slightly dizzy when first sitting up in bed, this might be the single habit you need most, and yet it is also the one most often overlooked. Why is it that the first 30 minutes of the day matters so much? Why are strokes most likely to occur before you've even washed your face or made your coffee? And how can something as basic as drinking a glass of water make such a difference? In this video, I'll share with you not just the reasons, but the scientific evidence that has even surprised the medical community. And if you've ever thought, I'm not that bad off, then you need to listen even more closely, because strokes don't always come with a warning. We won't start with medicine or a brand new diet, but with a moment you already repeat every morning, only this time we'll do it the right way. 1. The hidden risk in the first 30 minutes after waking up. Have you ever noticed what you usually do first thing in the morning after opening your eyes? Maybe you rub them, let out a sigh, slowly sit up, feel a bit unsteady, and walk out of your room without taking a single sip of water. For many people over 60, that moment might seem perfectly normal, but in reality, it's hiding one of the biggest health risks of the day. Have you ever felt lightheaded when standing up from bed, or had to hold on to the edge of a dresser or the side of the bed just to keep your balance? Do you tell yourself that it's simply part of getting older? The truth is, while you sleep, your body quietly loses water. You may not sweat much or even feel thirsty, but water is lost through your breath and your skin. By the time you wake up, you are already in a state of mild dehydration without realizing it. The problem is that dehydration makes your blood thicker, and thicker blood flows more slowly. And after lying still for 6 to 8 hours, blood flow has already slowed down. So when you first sit up, your brain urgently needs a steady supply of blood to become fully alert and function properly. So what happens if that blood flow is disrupted? In younger people, the vascular and nervous systems are still flexible, adjusting quickly to changes. But in older adults, arteries are less elastic, and those first few moments after waking are exactly when the brain is most vulnerable. This is why so many strokes occur early in the morning, before breakfast, before medication, before the day even begins. So, are you unknowingly stepping into danger every morning without realizing it? And if one simple action could change everything, would you be willing to try it starting tomorrow morning? Because what you're about to hear next might be the single thing you need to do to protect your brain all day long. 2. What does the research say about water and stroke? Have you ever thought, how could drinking just one glass of water make any real difference? It's such an ordinary act that almost no one believes it could hold the power to prevent something as dangerous as a stroke. But science strongly disagrees with that underestimation. In fact, multiple large-scale studies have shown that simply drinking enough water every day, especially in the morning, can significantly reduce the risk of stroke in older adults. One of the most frequently cited studies comes from Loma Linda University, where researchers found that men who drank 5 or more glasses of water a day had up to a 53% lower risk of stroke compared to those who drank fewer than 3 glasses. You heard that right. More than half the risk eliminated simply through plain water. So if that's true for men, does it also apply to women and seniors? The answer is yes. A recent analysis of over 29,000 people using NHA-NES data, 1999 to 2020, revealed that those who drank enough water each day had up to a 25% lower risk of stroke, with the benefits becoming even more pronounced in adults over 60. Even more striking, individuals who drank water in the morning within 1 hour of waking showed more stable blood circulation, lower blood pressure, and fewer instances of brain oxygen deficiency. And this conclusion doesn't come from just one source. A 2025 study by Pan et al. Reinforced the finding. Older adults who drank sufficient water in the morning had better overall circulatory function and reduced early-day blood thickening, a commonly overlooked but extremely dangerous factor. Think about it. No doctor has ever written a prescription for water, yet it's one of the few things that can protect you without a prescription, without side effects, and without cost. So why do so many people still ignore it? And if you're already convinced that water matters, how can you turn that knowledge into a simple, consistent daily habit? The answer lies in the next part, where we'll turn this knowledge into practical action you can start tomorrow morning.
3. How to make this habit effortless. Have you ever tried to build a good habit only to keep it up for just a few days? Morning hydration might sound like the simplest thing in the world, but without a system, it can easily end up on that list of things you know are good but somehow forget every day. So, how do you make it as natural a part of your morning as brushing your teeth or brewing your coffee? The answer is start the night before. Place a glass or a small water bottle right on your bedside table. When you wake up, it's the first thing you see. You don't have to leave your bed or even your room. Just reach for it and drink slowly. You might think that's too small a step to make any difference, but remember the research we covered earlier. Sometimes the most profound health changes come from what feels almost too simple to matter. If you take blood pressure medication or any other morning prescription, drinking water becomes even more essential. Without it, your medication may not be absorbed properly or may take longer to take effect. In some cases, seniors even miss their dose altogether simply because they forgot to drink water first. Has that ever happened to you? Here's another small tip. If you want an extra boost, you can add a squeeze of lemon to your water. Not only can it improve circulation, but it also aids digestion and helps shake off that groggy morning feeling. Don't like the sour taste? No problem. Plain water alone is enough to kickstart your circulation and protect your brain. Some of my patients even set a phone reminder or keep a dedicated water bottle labeled "For the Brain" to make it impossible to forget. Which one of these would you try? And if you're thinking, I've tried before but skipped a few days and now it feels awkward to start again, I want you to know it's never too late to restart with just one small glass of water. But what happens if you skip it? What could really go wrong if you don't drink water in the morning? The next story might make you look at that glass of water in a completely different way. 4. The consequences of skipping this habit. I once received a message from a 63-year-old woman who told me she often felt light headaches and dizzy spells when stepping out of bed in the morning. She never thought much of it until one morning she collapsed in the bathroom. Fortunately, her husband was still at home and managed to call emergency services in time. The doctor later said, "Your blood pressure spiked suddenly, just a few minutes later, and it could have turned into a stroke." When I asked, "Do you drink water right after waking up?" she went silent for a moment before sighing, "No, I always forget." You see, not everyone will have a medical emergency just because they skip a glass of water once. But when it happens every single morning, week after week, month after month, the consequences are no longer about luck. When you don't rehydrate after sleep, your body remains in a state of dehydration from the night before. Your blood becomes thicker, your vessels constrict, and if you already have high blood pressure or cholesterol, it's like pouring fuel on a fire. Have you ever felt confused or slightly disoriented in the morning, or stood up only to have your vision darken, forcing you to grab onto the wall for balance? Many people think that's just a normal part of aging, but in reality, it could be your body's way of crying for help.
Some seniors also describe their feet becoming locked during sleep, as if they can't move them, taking minutes to relax again. This isn't just a muscle problem, it's a sign of poor circulation, a condition that worsens with dehydration. What's even more alarming is that many strokes come without any warning signs. No pain, no sharp twinge, no obvious symptoms, just a light wave of dizziness, followed by a sudden fall or loss of movement in one side of the body. So, can you be absolutely sure you'll be fine tomorrow morning if you keep skipping that glass of water? If you had to choose just one habit to change starting tomorrow morning, it should be what you're about to hear in the conclusion. Because it's not always the big, dramatic actions. Sometimes it's the smallest ones that protect your clarity and independence. Maybe you've thought, it's just a glass of water. But after everything you've just learned, you now understand why it's no longer just anything. One small glass, taken at exactly the right time when your body is still fragile and most vulnerable, can be the silent shield protecting your blood vessels, your memory, and your independence. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need a new prescription or expensive equipment. You just need to remember this. Tomorrow morning, the moment your eyes open, let your hand reach for that glass before you take a single step out of bed. Don't let hesitation or old habits rob you of the most precious things, your health and your mental clarity. And if you've tried this tip before, share your experience in the comments. If you haven't, try it tomorrow morning and come back and tell me, how does your body feel? Because sometimes the biggest changes start with a single glass of water.